Hi everyone, welcome back to the Selenium WebDriver D14 session. In the last session, we learned about the testng, how to pass a parameter to a testng using testng.xml. So, this is the test case which is actually taking two parameters, string username and string password. And these values will be taken from the user and pass. The parameter name is user and pass. Actual values will be passed from this XML file, user which is equal to Vikas, password is equal to pass equal to password. Okay, these are the actual values to that parameter. We also covered the testng.xml, how to create a testng suite. So it has a high level structure as a suite, then test, then classes and the class name. You may want to write multiple classes, you may want to write multiple tests, but you can only write one suite in your testng.xml. Okay, let's go back. By writing @optional to the test parameter, we make this parameter as an optional so that we can directly run this test case. And if I say directly run as testng test and without passing any parameter, by default, uname and password will be taking as a null values. Default values will be null if you don't pass a parameter. Okay. Let's go to next. The last topic, the most and last important topic from the testng is the parameterization using data provider. So I already started with a data driven framework and I wanted to tell you page object model today. This is very important session going to be in all this complete video series. So let me create, instead of example, I will create a new package. Instead of example, I will say test. So in test package, I will create all the test suites, test classes basically. So creating a test class. Let's say again, this. You can take any example. I will go with the simplest example, that is the login test with multi data or data parameterization or login data driven test. This is the name of my class. Okay, I want a WebDriver, so declaring WebDriver here. Okay, do not initialize driver object here. Import WebDriver using control space. Okay, in one of our previous program we already learned about before method, public void test login. Oh, I'm sorry, it is not a test case, so I will say init browser. Okay, so WebDriver, oh my bad, driver is equal to the, before that I need to set system path, right? System.set property, not properties, it should be property. Okay, let's copy that path, c:/drivers / Chrome driver. Oh, it is on E drive, sorry. Okay, I just copied that path. pasting it here, replace the slashes, and yeah, ready to create a driver. Driver equal to new Chrome driver. After method, I will create a method. I think I don't need to give explanation because we already covered this before method, after method. Am I right? I will just say driver.quit. Next is okay. So driver.quit is the line which will going to close my browser. Now this is time to write a test case. So I'm writing a test, public void test login, and inside the test login we already have driver object. Okay, here only I will open that login page, maybe driver.get, give the URL demo.testfile.net. Don't forget the protocol. Okay, now let's say if you want to open that login page only, online banking login, let me show you that page first, demo.testfile.net. Okay, I want to click on online banking login, and the locator for this element will be the link text. The link text is online banking login. And there I want to perform click. Okay, so this is the code. Now if I click on here, on the web page it will have a username and password. So I think we already automated that. I don't remember. Parameter login test, I guess. Let's copy paste the code from here. Okay, let's copy paste the code from here. Yep, that's it. Okay, I just saved my efforts. So enter username, enter password, then find element btn submit, click on that, then check the URL is main or not. Okay, so if the URL is not main.esps, this is going to fail my test case. Then it is reading the h1 and comparing the expected text. Now what I will make is I will modify this test to say that expected is login or not. So, and also username and password has to be parameterized. String username, string password, boolean is login expected. Is login expected might have a true value, if the username and password is valid. It will have false value, if the username or the login is not expected with this invalid username password. So I will just check. um, for now I will just comment this all this assertion. I will come back to this assertion, but for now just do this one. Okay, if is login, okay, it's okay, or yeah, I can do that way also. Is login expected, then the URL should be ending with this. Okay, else the URL should be, what should be the URL? The URL should be login.aspx. Okay, if login is not expected, then I hope this is clear now why we need is login expected. Guys, please feel free to ask me questions if you have any questions on Skype. On next, the JSmith and demo 1234 is also I want to parameterize, so I will remove that JSmith with the variable name I passed, username and password. This is not really required. All right, so this is my test case. You may want to have that fourth parameter. You might need to change that alert message. Which alert message? I don't know which alert message. Alert message, I don't see any alert. Failed to login. Oh yes, failed to login message has to be changed. Okay, failed to login, instead the message should be, the failure message should be login was not expected, login with invalid was not expected. Okay, but the login is done. Okay, so to run this program I need 1, 2, 3 parameter. Okay, and this parameter you can pass it using @parameter, but that @parameter cannot be a data driven. You cannot pass a set of data, right? Let's say I wanted to do login with let's say 100 or 1000 users and passwords. I won't be able to do it. So for that there is a separate annotation, okay, which is known as a data provider annotation, @data provider. Fine, let's import. Data provider annotation methods always return two-dimensional object array. Okay, you should know what is two-dimensional object array. I will say get login data. Fine. Okay, so public object get login data, and there I want to create an two-dimensional object array. One-dimensional object array is like a normal array, and two-dimensional object array is an array inside an array. So let me create object two-dimensional array, give some name, let's say data, it's equal to new object. Again you say two-dimensional array, and you can specify size. Let's say I want how many columns I want in that. Say two-dimensional array is basically a rows and columns, so how many columns I want? 1, 2 and 3. So I want 3, first parameter is actually rows. I want 3 columns, and how many rows? Let's give some 4 rows maybe. Okay, so just now I created object a two-dimensional array, and now data of 0, 0 is equal to, you can set some data. So 0, 0 is username, 0, 1 is the password, 0, 2 is the expected login is true or false, that way. Okay, but every cell you will have to assign individually. So what I will do is I will go with other option. While creating that object only, I will initialize values. Okay, so the first column is username jsmith, password is demo1234, and as this is the valid credential, the login is expected, so I will pass true. Okay, this is my first row. So similarly, I will add another row with some, let's say, invalid credential, or let's say admin, comma, admin. And is this login is expected with admin? No. So I will say false. Oh, this false has to go in a without quotes. It has to go as a boolean because the data type here is a boolean. Okay. Remember, if the integer is the data type, you should be passing directly integer number here. Next row, let's say Vikas, and next password is ABCD, and the login is expected. No, login is not expected, so I will say false. FEL. Let's see. So how many rows are there total? 1, 2, 3. There are 3 rows. And let's return this two-dimensional object array. Okay. Now, for now, I have hard-coded this data into my code. Okay. You can actually read data from Excel file. Okay, that I will cover some other day, or database, or XML, or JSON. Okay, it depends on you guys, from where you want to read this data. But let's say you want to read X from Excel or database or XML or JSON, you will be requiring some line of a code. So if I'm going with the Excel, I will need to write Apache PY, APA, Apache PY I will require for Excel reading. Okay, let's say I want to use database, I will have to use JDBC code. If I want to use XML, then you can use the DOM parser. If you want to use JSON, you can use the JSON parser. Okay, so there are different options for different tools or input source, but you will need to write a code. There is no built-in option that okay, you can just read the code from any data from anywhere. So for everything you need to write a code. So for now I just have hard coded. In future I will tell you how to use Apache PY, okay, using an Excel file, how to read that Excel data and pass it to a test case. But for now let's hard code the data to my data provider. Okay, now my data provider is get login data, and there has to be a binding between the test case and the login data provider. So this is my test case and this is my data provider, so there has to be a binding. So to the test annotation, there is a parameter data provider is equal to specify the name of your data provider. So in my case, the name of data provider is the name of that data provider method. Okay, so this is the name of my data provider. If you think that this name is not good, other option is you can say that to the data provider name equal to, let's say, login underscore dp, and you pass that same name here. This is also valid. This is another option which makes more readability. Okay, with code improvement, code quality improvement wise, you can again see that this is also a same string, this is also same string. So instead of that, you can create a constant, right? You can create a constant and just use that constant variable here. Constant means final. In Java we use a final keyword for declaring a constant. So that is another option, but just leave it. Now it is time to run the test case. I will just say run as test-ng test. You have to tell me that how many times this test case is executed, what is the result. It should execute for jsmith demo1234 admin Vikas abcd. and let's see. Okay, my voice is breaking. So guys, is it the same case for you, or you guys are able to hear my voice, properly? Please reply. Okay, admin, login. See, login is done for admin. Next. But I was not expecting login should be done for admin, so that test case has to fail. Okay, good for me. Savita, just check your internet connection. Looks like it is slow. Don't rely on mobile network. If you should have a good Wi-Fi. You should be on Wi-Fi connection or a broadband connection. All right. So assertion error, login with the invalid credential. Can you see that? Let's see a test report. Let me split this windows. Hmm. See, test login with a JSmith and demo 1 2 3 4 was successful. Test login with the admin was successful, but I was not expecting login with admin. This is actually a bug with the application. So as you can see, this is a bug. Login with invalid credential was not expected. So actually, if you say admin, there is a bug with application. If you say admin, it will log in with admin user. Okay, it may not have any data, but still the login is done, because most of the time people keep default username, default password as admin, and that works. So this is a bug. I'll just sign off, and that's the reason the test case is getting failed. I hope it is clear now. But for Vikas and ABCD, the login was not happened, so the test case is passed. I was not expecting a login here. And the same test case, test login, is executed 3 times. It will automatically execute those many number of times you have records here. Okay, so any questions, guys? You can add that more mechanism, like capturing a screenshot on failure. Let me copy that code, let me copy that library completely. You can do more stuff like that. As we are developing a framework, we require this also. So let's go to our project. In config, there is a config package, there is an example package, and there is a test package. But whatever I'm copying is the utility. Okay, I don't have a utility package, so let's create a utility package. Not inside a config, so utils. In that utils, I will copy that snap util. Okay, this is the snap utils I copied. Snap utils has a method, a static method, capture snap. Okay, which is automatically going to capture a snapshot. So in the after method, okay, I wanted to capture a snapshot after a method only on failures, right? Let's say this is my case. So I think we already learned that. Okay, no worries, I will write that code again. So after method may also get an optional. Okay, let me see first any questions are there, guys. Is there any question? I'm adding a snapshot code to the framework. So before that, if you have any questions, let me know. Please reply. I see 27 people online, but you guys are not replying. If you have any question, please let me know. Okay, I see most no's on the group. Can you please explain the login expected? Okay, Prashant, yes, I will tell you again. Login expected is a Boolean parameter. If I'm passing username password valid, that means, let's say you have Excel sheet. In that Excel sheet, you have written username password, some username and password, and you also should give your expected value, right? Is the login is expected or not? You cannot just consider that every username and password is valid. let's say you wanted to check some of the username password are valid, some of the username password are not valid, and for not valid the login is not expected, so you will pass a false value, and for valid username and password the login is expected, so you will pass a true value. So if it is true, then the username and password must work and the user should go to the home page on the main page, and if the value is false, then user should not be able to log in into application. So I covered both the cases, covering valid usernames and invalid passwords also, both. I hope I answered your query now. All right, I don't see any other questions, so let's continue. What I will do is I will add that snapshot code which we learned in the previous sessions. So after method may have an optional parameter I test result. Okay, let's say result. Before driver.quit, I will just check if the result dot get status is equal I test result dot fail. If it is fail, then now this is where I will write a code for snapshot. So snap utils dot capture a snapshot, and there you have to pass a driver and the file name, where you want to save the snapshot. So the file name I can directly pass is the test method name. The test method name you can get it from the result parameter, which is coming to a test case. So result dot get method dot get method name. Oops, my bad. Get method name. Okay, but the thing is the same method name will be invoked 3 times. Okay, so what will happen, the method name is test login, so it will create a test login.png file every time, which is going to replace the previous execution test login. Okay, I don't want to do that. So instead of that, what you can do is you can also add a timestamp or something like that, if you want. So get method name plus I will write hyphen, then plus, then I will write use a calendar class. I think I already covered this, how to add a timestamp, but this time I will add millisecond, CALEND, calendar dot get instance dot get time in millis. I'm getting time in millis, I'm not saying get time. Get time will return me date and time, but I want to read time in millis, and then I will just say dot png. So this is going to be my snapshot name. Okay, and finally I will quit my driver. So this snapshot will be only captured on a failure. If you want to capture this snapshot in all cases, pass, fail, you just comment out this line. So it will capture snapshot in all the cases, whether it is pass, fail, or anything. Let's run it. The snapshot, I haven't specified any folder where to copy this snapshot, so by default the snapshot will be created under the project folder. Okay, so let's wait. Okay, the first test case is done. I see some error, file not found, snaps. Oh, my bad. Okay, so I will tell you why. You see that snaps folder name is hard coded here. Okay, it is not just a file name, the folder name is also hard coded. So what I will do is I will go to the config. If you remember, in the last session we created a constants.java. Okay, guys, do not miss any session here onwards, because we will be taking the reference of the last session only. We will be continuing the same code. Okay, so I will create a constant saying that snaps path. Okay, where I want to save a snapshot. So the snapshot should go in snaps folder. Okay, and here it is. Yep. All right, so I said sorry, this is wrong. So that snapshot folder path should come from here. constants dot snap path, okay, plus file name. So it will create that snapshot into that snap path, but snaps folder is not created, it is not already there. So in the last code we also worked on that. If the folder is not there, create the folder. What I will do is I will create a before suit. In before suit I will before suit we already learn all this detail, so I'm directly using it. Public void cleanup re-init or init project. You can give any name, there is no restriction, but it should be readable or understandable. So what I will do is I will create a file object first. F is equal to new file, okay, and which file I want to create constants dot snap path, okay. So it is going to point that folder. Let me add this into the constructor. File is not visible. Why file is coming from which oh, see, the file is coming from this package, which is wrong. I don't want this Grego is soft, so let's import it from java.io, which is the built-in, okay. So I have a file object. You can check if f dot exist, that means if that folder is already existing. So before running all the test cases, you should be deleting it, okay. For deleting a folder also we wrote some code, so which is actually deleting that folder recursively. I don't remember where is that project we created. Let's see, 18th August. No, okay, I don't see that. I don't know where I shared that code, but I still remember that we covered, right? We covered this how to capture a snapshot only on failure. Am I right, guys? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, we covered only on failure. Then we also learned how to delete a folder, if the folder is existing. So we googled that time, Java delete non folder, and I just took that ready-made code. Yeah, thank you, Gaurav, Abhishek, Jain. So deleting non-empty directory in Java, Stack Overflow. Okay, they are just saying there is no code basically. They are just discussing if you want to delete recursive delete, then file delete directory, file utils, delete directory, method Apache. This is coming from Common IO. This is coming from Apache Common IO. Let me try. File utils, right? Instead of writing lengthy code, you can actually use the ready-made libraries wherever possible. File utils from Apache Common IO. So you see that first line, dot delete directory, and there you have to pass the object of what? Object of file. I already have that f. I'm not 100% sure. This may throw exception. Let's add it, surround with a try catch. Okay, let me give a try. If that works, it's fine. If it doesn't work, then okay. After deleting a directory, again create a new directory with the same folder. Delete, create. This may again throw exception. So what I will do is, oh, so sorry, mkdir, force mkdir. Okay, so it will create a directory. I will cut that line and paste it here only. After deleting, I will just add a message. There is one more option, guys, about logging that I will cover some other day. Right now I will just write system.println. Okay, so folder for snaps deleted. Okay, and again create a folder and write a message empty fresh new folder for snaps created. Okay, I just added some messages so that we will get to know that okay, what is happening. Now I will run this test case, right click, run as test. Keep your eye on the console, because if there's something is wrong, then it is going to print the stack trace. Oops, something is wrong, looks like something is wrong. So what is that? File not found exception. I don't know why is this file not found. Let me check. Let's find out on which line this exception is occurred. So testng suit runner. Our class name is what? Login data driven. So just find out login data driven dot java. See, snaps util is there, login data driven, line number 53. So this is the line which is actually creating the error, and that error says that snaps.login png, the system cannot find. Why it is trying to find the file? Oh, I said move. Oh, the snapshot folder is not getting created. Let's read in detail. The snaps folder is not getting created. That's the issue. Can you see that? Snaps folder deleted, added, that message is not there. Okay, because okay, I got the problem now. See, where is that snaps util, or the before class? See, in the before suit, my bad, before suit, I'm just checking if the file is existing, then only delete and create. If the file is not existing, still I want to create a file, right? So this line should not go here. It has to be in a separate try catch block. Okay. Anyway, if the folder is deleted or not, I have to create that file. So that's the reason, that was the problem. Now I can run the test. Okay, this is the lengthy code. I'm just trying to avoid this remove directory lengthy code. I'm trying to use the built-in class for deleting the folder recursively. Can you see that fresh new folder for snaps created? So the folder is created, the temporary file was this, and the file is copied to the snapshot folder with the path is snap/test method name, and then time in a milliseconds. This time starts at midnight 12 o'clock. This is another test case, and right now I'm capturing snapshot for all the test cases. It doesn't matter is it pass, fail, or what. Okay, that was the third test case. As you can see, one test case got fail. Okay, let's double click it here to the project, refresh it. You may not be able to see snaps folder directly. Okay, refresh it. Refresh. Where is it? Refresh. Can you see that snaps folder now? Expand it and see there are 3 snapshots. And if I'm adding the time in milliseconds, by default it will be in ascending order unless the day is not changing. You're not running test case at the midnight. So this is the first test case with a hello John Smith. Second test case with the hello admin user, where I was not expecting a login to happen. And this is the third test case with the failure message, and this is expected. So this test case got passed. So I have it. Now if I try to run it again, what I'm expecting is this snapshot folder has to be deleted first, and then new folder has to be created. So let's see, right click, run as testng test, and see the folder for snapshot deleted, a fresh new folder for snaps is created. So if you go here and refresh, the snap folder is empty. You can see that snap folder is empty. the test case is getting executed. Okay, first test case is executed. So let's refresh snaps, refresh. Oops. You see the first snapshot here. Okay, so instead of using a very lengthy code by deleting files by yourself, I would suggest to go with using the built-in libraries. For example, Apache Common IO is one example for deleting recursive line. Only the one method you have to call is the file utils.delete directory and then pass the file object. So that's it. So this is the way, this is the data driven framework, guys, we have just now developed. Okay, we still need to add many things into it. The one example is I don't want to keep the data provider into the test suite. Okay, because this may not be a right place. Let's say I have so many data providers and I want some location where I can actually store my data provider, especially all the data provider. So let me create another package. Okay, the name I will give is DP, that means data providers. Okay, and I will create a class saying login data provider. Login data providers, cut paste that method. Why I am separating this data provider from the test class is let's say you need multiple data providers. So let's say login data provider, let's say valid credentials data provider, invalid credentials data provider, or maybe some other values which is related with the login. You can write all the data providers here, and whenever it is needed you just need to refer that. So here you need to add one more parameter saying that data provider class is equal to the class name. So in my case the class name is login data provider, login data providers dot, just write class dot class. So now this test method knows that which data provider to pick from which class. Okay, by default it will try to search into the current class, but if it is not there, it may throw exception. That is the reason you need to specify data provider class is equal to the name of a class. All right, I hope it is clear now. Okay, the next topic that I am going to cover is guys, if you want you can also add this optional message, welcome John Smith or something like that if you want, but right now I'm not doing it. Okay guys, is this clear so far? Shall we start with a page object model? Now in this project, in this framework, it's a data driven framework where you can actually run your test cases with a much set of data. I will add a page object model. So, but before that I wanted to ask if you have any questions. When we say what is data driven framework, what we can say words. Okay guys, very good question. If somebody is asking you that what is data driven framework, so data driven framework is a framework which is supporting a data driven test. And a data driven test, it means the test cases, we execute the same procedure with a different set of data. Now I am saying same procedure with a different set of data. It means, take example of login, entering username, password, clicking on login button and confirming whether login is done or not. This is completely a same procedure, but what I'm doing is I'm passing multiple set of a data. It might be invalid credential, valid credential, that kind of a set, and it might be a huge number, maybe 100 or 500 or thousands also. So one test case executing on multiple set of data is a data driven test case, and data driven framework supports data driven test cases. Is it clear? Okay, I will cover keyword driven framework and hybrid driven framework concept some other day. Let me know if you have any other question, guys. Okay, guys, which is a good way to read data, whether from Excel or from database or from XML? It depends on you, what you want. So it all depends on you. Maybe sometimes on project requirement, you might be getting already data into XML from the developers, and you have to use that XML as it is. So in that case, you have to use XML. Or let's say you have a backend database, you are doing registration. That registration data, user data, is going into database, and you have to verify the data with the database. So in that case, you might have to use JDBC for connecting to database and read it. So it depends. Most of the time tester goes with Excel. Let's say you want to store some data into a file and read it, then mostly people go with Excel. Okay, definition of framework means segregating code and data. That is that right or anything else? Okay. Uh, Definition of framework means segregating code and data. Not exactly. Framework has a broader meaning. Okay, framework is not only talking about one project. Framework talks about standards. Frameworks talks about guidelines. Framework talks about automating the automation process. So if you say that framework is a standard, guidelines, and helps to automate the automation workflow, so this will be the standard definition. Okay, this is the going to be a standard definition. But same time, if you say practically what is a framework, what is automation framework, in the real life, in the practical meaning, definition, right, sometimes definition is something different. It has a broader meaning. It is not very specific thing. But when it comes to a practical implementation, it is talking about specifically to something. So the framework has a real time meaning, or a real life meaning, as the Java project that you create. Okay, mostly as automation tester, we refer this project as a framework. So how this framework should be, that means the package structure, which package you are going to create, for what purpose, which class you are going to store, what are the different dependencies you are going to add, what are the different suites that you are going to create, what are the different groups that you are going to create, how this test case will be executed, whether it will be executed on a locally, on a Selenium grid, or on a cloud, then how that reports will be generated, whether that reports are default report, are you customizing report, are you taking a snapshot, are you adding that snapshot into report. So this all parts, I would say these are like all features which are supported by a framework. That means the project, in a real life, we refer the most of the time this Java project as a framework. I hope I cleared your doubt, Amit. Is there any other questions? Guys, please ask me questions. I see so many people online. You want me to call by name? Abhishek, Amit, Arman, Dilip, Gaurav, Rishikesh, Jain, Madhu, Neha, Pallavi, Parag, Prashant, Ram, Rupa, R. Yadav, Savita, Shreya, Shruti, Sonam, Sunil, Supriya, and Surbhi. No questions. Please continue from Gaurav. Thanks, Gaurav. Data dot driven dot class. Explain, please. Okay. Uh, First thing, there is no class. There is no dot. Okay. There is. I don't know what is your perspective. Data dot driven dot class. What does it mean? I haven't used anywhere data dot driven dot class. Oh, are you talking about this data provider class? this is a parameter to my test annotation. So it will tell my test case that this data provider is coming from which class, where we have wrote this data provider. So initially that data provider method, that login DP method, was there in my same class, but now I moved into some separate class just to create some more modularity, some structure to my framework. I have moved it into a DP package. So you see this DP package, there I have moved it. So that will make me, that will be easier to find out the data providers and that way. So this is just an attribute that will tell me that where is my data provider present in which class. Okay, no question from Parag. Please continue. Swapna, is that have I cleared your doubt, or you still have a question? All right, perfect. Okay, guys, let's continue with the page object model. We just have a few minutes left. Page object model. First, I will tell you concept. Page object model. It's a pattern. Which we follow. So we are automating a web pages, right? So for every web page, what we do is we create a logical class. We represent that web page as a page object. If you know the classes and objects from Java. So for every real-time entity, we have a class, and we create an object of that class that becomes a real-time entity. So for example, student. If I only say student, it is a class. But if I am referring to some specific student, let's say student whose name is Vikas or something, that I am referring specifically to a real life object of a student class. Okay. So it is like the same way, page object model. For every web page, we will be having a class. So for example, login page or user home page, or let's say, search accounts, or else transaction history page. For every web page, we will be having a class, and that object of that class will represent that page. Okay. So what I will just do is, this is the login data driven test. I will just copy paste that login data driven test, and at the end I will say with page object model, with page object model I will say. Okay. So but for that, as I said, if I'm working on a login page, I should have a login class. Okay, login page class. So let's do it. I'm again creating a more package, guys. We are learning framework. So I will create a package. The package name is going to be not test, it will be a pages, or you can just say page, that is also fine. And in page, I will create a class name as a login page. Okay. So on a login page, this login page class will represent my this page. So what are the web elements are there on my login page? The web element is username and the password, as well as the login button. So all the elements that you work on that page, you will add it here. Let me declare ads web element, okay, txt username, that is my username text box. Another web element is txt password, and another web element is btn login. Okay, so these are the three elements which I am working on from a login page. Only add those elements which you are really working into, which you are really using into your automation script. Okay, unnecessarily do not add everything. Do not add, again I'm repeating, do not add everything, because on login page I see so many things. I see sign off, contact us, links, and this message, and these links and everything, logo. But do not add everything on a login page. Only add those fields which you are using into your automation script. So right now I'm using only 3 automation scripts. Okay, these 3 things. So what I will do is, how to locate this element, at the rate the txt username. How do we locate that? So if you check the general scripting that we do, driver.find element, where is that code? Okay, you can see that, driver.find element by.uid, id.uid, and there I'm sending username and password. Okay, so id is uid. Just go here, write at the rate find by. This find by annotation is coming from Selenium. Okay, do not get confused with the annotations which are coming from testng. This at the rate find by is coming from Selenium. Okay, not from testng. Remember this. So find by, how to find? I want to say that find by ID and just give that UID. So that username, this element, txt username element will be found by that UID. Similarly, I will do it for the other elements at the rate find by. Okay, do it for all element. Let me go and see. Pass w, id is equal to pass w at the rate find by id, and then what? Sorry, it is also what, I don't remember. What is it? It is having a name. What is the name? Button submit. So guys, you get actually all the option, class name, css, id, link text, name, partial link text, tag name, using, forget about using and how, xpath. So here I am writing name, say control space, and the name is btn submit. Oops, btn submit. Okay, that was my name. So this is my login page class. Okay, so can anyone tell me what are the 2 things contained in a class? What a class contains? Simple object oriented programming question. What does a class contains? Class contain 2 things. One is what? What are these 2 things? Variables and functions. Very good, Sonam. So I have this variable, this is data member. Class contain 2 things, first is data member. So in my case, data members are the elements and the related methods, methods to my class. So those methods which are actually using this element. So in my case, which method? I will write a method public void do login, and do login will take username and password parameter. So the job of do login method is type username, type password, and click on the button login. Okay, these are the 3 steps I will be doing. So I'm using a page object model, guys. You don't have to use driver.find element, that way here. I already have that element object. So just element object dot send keys. You don't have to say that driver.find element because that element is already found. That element is already stored here. There I will enter username string. Okay, enter username, text password dot send keys, the password you have to send. Oops. And then last is the button login dot click. So this one function, this one method is going to perform login. Okay, if you want, you can add a Java doc also. So method to perform login with given username and password. Guys, Java doc is nice to have thing, but it is optional. You will not get error if you don't write Java doc, but it is always good practice to write a Java doc. Username to type, password to type, and it is not returning anything, it returns void. Okay, so I have a do login method. Okay, now login page is done. Okay, the next part is just create object of a login page and use this do login method. Okay, so come back here. I don't need these lines, I don't need to say that driver dot find element and such a kind of a stuff. Instead of that, I will only say, let me create object of a login page equal to new login page. Guys, this is the way we generally create object of a login page. Okay, login page is equal to new login page. Okay, and after that, tell me guys, what will be the values inside the txt username? Let's say I got an object login page, and if I try to print the value of txt username, will it be null or will it be assigned to some element? What will be the initial value of that login txt element? Not sure. Vijay say null. Pallavi also says null. Yep, you are right, guys. The reason is, I will tell you why. I created login object. Okay, but we have not initialized it. Okay, we have not initialized this login object. So how to initialize all these web elements which are present into a class? It is done using a page factory class. So page factory, there is a class name coming from Selenium, page factory. Okay, dot init elements is the method, init element, and there you have to pass the driver object and the object which you want to initialize. So login page is the my class. Okay, you see this simple line. But data will be null. Now initialize or find elements with page. Okay, so this page factory dot init element, what this line will do is, this line will be initializing all my web elements from that object. Okay, initializing, it means initial of string is null. I'm not talking about string, I'm talking about web element. So initial value of all the web elements is null. Yep, all the class type of member, so page factory dot init element driver I passed, and then which object you want to initialize. So init element, this is a built-in method. What it does is, it will pick up all the web elements from your object and it will initialize every element with the driver dot find element by whatever criteria you have given, whatever locator you have given. So this initialization will happen automatically, you don't have to do anything. Okay, what we do is, now I have a login object. I will just call do login and pass the username and password. That's the only thing I have to do. I do not have to write again 3 lines. Whenever I want to do a login, I will simply create object, initialize, and call a method. This is clear, guys? This is just a very basic page object model example. Simplest and the basic page object model example. This is clear so far? Any questions? We only have a few minutes left. You want me to run this code? Okay, let's do it. Right click, run as test. Oops, something is wrong. The test case got skipped. Now why is this test case got skipped? Let's try to find out the reason. Runtime exception, cannot invoke this method org dp. So sorry, excuse me. So login data driven test object due to the class mismatch. Why is it saying class mismatch? Get login data on this instance. I'm not sure. Class mismatch exception I'm getting at the rate. Where is my at the rate test? Okay, this is my login data provider, login dp, which is Perfectly fine. Okay, this is also right. Oh, this method is not static. My bad. Okay. Data provider method should be static because those are called without creating object. Okay. Now let me run. Perfect. That was the issue. So the test case is now running. Right now, this test case will run in a sequence, one after another test case. In the next coming sessions, we will see how to run test cases in a parallel so that you will have, multiple test cases running at the same time into different browsers. Also, we will see how to run the same test case on a different browser. For example, I want to run one test case on Chrome as well as Firefox. You can do it. You can do that also. So these are the few advanced topics that we will be covering from the framework. Okay. So as you can see, three test cases got executed. Okay, one got failed. Guys, see, it is also doing the automation only, but the approach is different. I don't have to write driver.find element here. All that find element code is now reduced. You won't be using that find element if you are using a page object model. You will try to avoid driver.find element as much as you can. Logically think, login page, I created object, initialize that object and call that object to login. This is very simple, right? Simple to understand, simple to read, and more reusability. Whenever you want to perform login, create object of login, call do login method with the username and password. So this is going to do a job for you. Another thing is, even this driver.get URL, you can actually change it. Okay. uh, you can also change this one also, but we will continue page object model in the next session. It has again many topics remaining. So for now, I will just tell you one thing. Okay, this is one option. I created first blank object, object with the blank web elements, null elements, and then I initialized it. You can actually do both the things at a one line only. Just say page factory dot init elements, pass on the driver, and initially we used to pass the object. Now I will only pass the class name. My class name is login page. Login page dot class. So if you pass a class name, what this method will do, this method will return you object of login page. Okay, this method will itself will create an object, initialize it, and then return it. So you are actually doing job of two lines into one line. So this is it. I think I forgot to import typo. Okay, so you can actually combine these two lines, creating object and initializing. You can do it in a one line. So init element will create the object as well as it will initialize the object, and you just have to say that to login on that method on that object. So that completes the today's session. Let me check if you guys have any questions. Where we have written do login method. Pallavi, I think you have missed the some session. So let me tell you again. See, do login method is present inside login page, and login page is a login page object. It is an object of login page class. So if you go to the login page, here we created a do login, which is taking username and password, and we are typing that username password and clicking on login button here. Next is your doubt is clear, Pallavi? Next question from Amit. Where does actual username and password getting called in a page object model now? Guys, it is very simple. Previously, without a page object model, what we used to do is the username and password was getting passed via data provider. Okay. And that username password I was taking as a parameter to my test case. And then I was saying send keys directly. But now what I'm doing is I'm not saying direct send keys. What I'm saying is I'm taking username and then passing it to a do login parameter, do login method. You can see that username, I'm passing it to do login, and the job of do login is to perform login. See, I'm mouse over on do login method to perform the login with a given username and password. So username, the username that I'm passing is the username to type, the password is the password to type. So this is the method which is actually doing entering username, entering password, and clicking on login button, all these three actions. and the username I'm passing it, I'm getting username from data provider and passing that as it is to the method. How find element is working? Find element is working because it is a part of a Selenium. The Selenium developer already implemented code for it. So what find element, it is an annotation, that will only tell how to find element. Okay, the init element, we learned this init element, right? Where is that? Init element method, what it will do is it will try to initialize every web element. But how to initialize, how to find that element and how to initialize, this job will be done by @find element. So find element annotation, it is just like tagging, how to find that element. So whenever init element method is called, automatically that element will be searched by the given locator in the find element. Vikas, please share today's video. Yes, Savita, I will share today's video, but I am only thinking to share it with those people who were present today, not with the other people who are absent today. Does that make sense? Does does it make sense, guys? Cannot able to understand some part of the session. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Let me know. I was just kidding. I will be sharing this video after this tutorial with everybody. How to set priority to test method? I think I missed that topic from TestNG. I will cover some other day, Gaurav. It is not relevant to the current topic. It is very easy. I will just quickly tell you, how to set a priority. Go to the test case and say a parameter priority, give some number. By default priority is 0, that is the highest priority. This is priority 1, this is priority 2, this is priority 3. I think you can give as many as numbers you want. The minimum number shows that highest priority. If priority 1, that means it has a more priority. If you are saying priority 0, which has the highest priority. Okay, if you increase the priority number, that means you are reducing the priority. So that way you can set a priority. One more thing, because okay, how to set, okay, because will you be sharing video related to explicit weight? I think I already shared. I don't remember, guys. Let me know if I haven't shared that. I will do it.